On May 5, 1945, sailors patrolling off the coast of Fort Myers, Delaware, witnessed the end of an era and the closing moments of the largest battle of World War II. Hello and welcome to Side History. Today we're going to talk about the German U-boat 858 and how its surrender at the end of World War II marked the end of the Battle of the Atlantic. The German U-boat 858 was a Type IXC U-boat. It was designed to be the terror of the Atlantic and was for many years during World War II. The U-858 was a Type IXC-40 variant of the U-boats designed in 1935. These were long-range submarines designed to overcome the necessity of bringing war materials and soldiers to Europe from the United States. They were armed with 22 torpedoes, and the submarine had a range of over 13,000 nautical miles and designed to stay at sea for up to 6 months. So the interesting story behind U-boat 858's surrender is it never sank an enemy vessel while out on patrol. In fact, its surrender at the end of the war and its inability to affect the outcome of the war begins with a story of the Battle of the Atlantic. For a little background, the Battle of the Atlantic was fought during World War II using various tactics including submarines, surface vessels, and aircraft. German U-boats equipped with torpedoes were the main threat to Allied shipping. They were organized into what's called wolf packs to attack Allied convoys. The Allies responded with increased naval escorts, aircraft patrols, and technological advancement in detecting and destroying the U-boats. The Battle of the Atlantic was a long and brutal conflict. It saw heavy losses on both sides. Over 3,500 Allied ships and 783 German U-boats were lost, resulting in more than 60,000 sailors losing their lives. However, the tide of the battle began to turn in favor of the Allies in 1943, thanks to much better convoy systems, radar and sonar technology, and the introduction of long-range aircraft. As we said, the German 858 U-boat was a Type IXC U-boat. The Type IX U-boats were a class of submarine used by the German Navy during World War II. It was one of the most successful and widely used submarines during the war. The Type IX U-boat was designed for long-range operations and could travel up to 23,000 kilometers, over 14,000 miles, on a single patrol. The Type IX U-boat was also heavily armed with 6 torpedo tubes, 4 in the bow and 2 in the stern. It also had an anti-aircraft gun and an 88mm deck gun, which could attack vessels on the surface. The submarine was crewed by up to 56 men. It could stay submerged for a significant amount of time, making it a formidable weapon in the Battle of the Atlantic. The U-858 was commissioned by the Nazi German Kriegsmarine and launched on June 17, 1943. It was a Type IXC-40 U-boat that carried out 2 patrols during the war. On its second patrol, U-858 was tasked to disrupt American shipping along the east coast of the United States. However, its mission was cut short when the submarine surrendered to 2 destroyer escorts on May 10, 1945, approximately 700 miles off the New England coast, just a little over a week after Hitler's suicide. This made the U-858 one of the first enemy ships to surrender to the United States following Germany's defeat. After its surrender, the U-858 was taken over by an American crew and sailed towards the United States. On May 14th, just 4 days after surrendering at sea, the submarine was officially surrendered at Fort Myers in Lewes, Delaware. The USS Pillsbury and USS Pope, the ships that accepted the submarine surrender, arrived at the location later that day. The American-manned U-858 sailed along the East Coast, making port calls as part of a war bond drive. In 1946, the U-boat traveled as far as Key West, Florida, before returning to New England. Following this, the Navy then utilized the 858 for torpedo practice, eventually being sunk by the USS Sargo off the coast of New England in 1947. Looking back on it, the U-858's failure was a mark of success of the Allies' efforts to protect convoys crossing the Atlantic. Its 2 failed patrols were due to the commitment and technological advancement that negated the threat of the German U-boat during World War II. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Also, I'd love to know what weapon you thought was the most important during the Battle of the Atlantic.